Hello everybody, welcome to this playthrough for Rookie Division in the Summer Major Tournament. The video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic, so let's go. Here, we're going to start by playing hole number 1 of the Acacia Reserve. We do have a full 9 of the Acacia Reserve, and all of them are new holes, very technical, a lot of elevation, a lot to think of. So be ready with your pen and paper to take some notes. 10% extra, we do need to add that to our adjustment as we're playing downhill. Using 3 bars of topspin with 2.5 bar side spin to the right, we could use 1 bar more of topspin. But in the end I choose 3 because I rather want to go a little bit short and I want to go long into the rough. We choose to play on the right side due to the fact that it gives us a very good opportunity for the approach to get an eagle. And you can see here on the visual that if you're going to play on the left side, you have to either use the tiny little, fairway island inside the rough to bounce over towards the pin, or you will have to get the ball as far up to the left as possible to even have a chance, or at least have an open line towards the pin there. The second shot is going to be played downhill as well. We do need to add 10% there also. And with the approach, you will have to use just a normal short iron or a long iron. It depends on how far you make your drive, combined with what type of power ball that you're using. I'm using a 10% extra over adjustment here, as I said, for the second shot. So it's 10% for the drive, it's 10% for the second shot. And here, when it comes to spin adjustment, when you approach the pin, you decide. I do like to play without spin if I can, and if I do have enough green and enough fairway to work on. So in this case, we're gonna get it close, but it's not going to be in the hole. But still, hole number 1 is going to be a good opportunity. So let's go to hole number 2. Hole number 2 is a par 5, a long one. This is a this is a tough one. I think the course is lovely, but it's super tough. We're going to use a power 3 ball. We do need the distance, that is very important. Max side spin to the right, and I also want you to use 3 to 4 bars of topspin. And the thing that we want to do here is that we do want to bounce our ball over the rough line and the sand. And we're going to play the drive 10% extra, very important, as we are going to otherwise not hit the intended spot. You can see there as well that I was using a little bit of curl. I was using half a ball of curl outside the adjustment range to the right, and that is something that we do need to do. Unfortunately here I clipped the rough, and that's going to make my approach shots be even tougher than an originally tough approach is going to be on hole number 2. And from here now, it's important that we do have the power 3 ball as we picked from the beginning, but that we also pick to play with a wood club that gives us a lot of distance. You maybe wonder that if I don't clip the rough, can I use a sniper, a viper, or some other lower distance club? No, play with the big dog or the cataclysm, depending on what you have. I don't see many players in rookie playing with a cataclysm, but I'm just saying it as for those are the 2 clubs that I feel we should choose between. We do need the distance. We don't really need anything else. So we do want, as ultimate here, to bounce over this very tricky bunker that we do have there in the center. But if we do not have the distance with our drive, then we cannot really go over the bunker there, and we'll have to play on the side, either on the right side or we'll have to play on the left side. In this case, as we went very short, I'm going to play on the left side. And here I like to over adjust my shot 20%. That's a lot, I know, but it's 2 things. First, that the shot initially is downhill, but the second part is that we actually are having a bounce that is very high there in the end. And then it will be that the ball is going to bounce so high up in the air that it's going to be affected by the wind again. So therefore I'm using 20% to make sure I'm getting there. Not an albatross hole, very tough par 5. If we make an eagle, we're gonna be happy. Hole number 3 is a par 3, and this one is a little bit easier here for us, and this is definitely going to give us an opportunity to actually make an hole in 1. But we do need one thing that is very crucial on our ball here, and I understand that if you play this hole in tour play, and then you might come into this one in a shootout with just playing with a power 0 ball, or with a side spin 0 ball or a side spin 1 ball like that I'm going to have. and that's a struggle. So I would like you to choose in tournament to play with a side spin 2 ball minimum. So either a side spin 2 or a side spin 3, which of the regular balls is going to be a Quasar or it's going to be a Katana. And also Titan and Kingmaker, but we are not playing with those balls on a par 3. And I'm going to use max side spin to the right, and I'm going to use, in this case, 1.5 bar backspin. Well, I like us to use 2 bars of backspin, as we will be coming in a little bit hot as the beginning of the green slopes downhill. Not that we can see it that well, but it actually does. Then we need to over adjust the approach, like the tee shot, with 10% when approaching the pin here, and then we're gonna be fine. It's gonna be close, but here you can see why we do want to have more side spin, because of the slope, because of the rough and the sand that we do have on the right side, just covering the line going directly at the pin. Hole number 4, a par 4, and we are going to play on the right side. 10% extra is what we do want to have on the drive here. And we do want to use max top spin, and I take it away, we're not going to use anything extra for the drive, my bad. No 10% extra, so nothing extra. 4.5 bar top spin and 2.5 bar side spin to the left. We do want to use as much top spin that we possibly have, because you can see we have way more fairway to play on here on the top right. Once getting there, now we do have a short iron towards the pin, or we do have a long iron. It all, once again, depends on how far you will go with your driver. The thing is here that we do have the left side as well, but as the left side is further down, then we'll have to over adjust that shot 20% when playing on the left side. And that's also a big reason to why I play on the right side, is that we then not have to complicate anything when it comes to approaching the pin, when it comes to making our drive here from the start. Our opponent gets down there as well. Make sure that you're not going into the rough. We do want to have an opportunity. We don't want to mess up going to the rough, because then we will lose the opportunity. So now we do have the Thorn, and the Thorn is a good club here. That will give you a lot of backspin. Even in level 1, it's a good club to have here. You don't have to play them very close to the rough line, and you can actually approach the pin very nicely here directly. You will just have to make a proper adjustment or setup, and then you will be fine. The approach shot here is going to be 10% downhill as well, and you can see we're getting it close, but we just missed. Hole number 5 is another par 3, and this one is the easiest of the 3 par 3s of the Acacia Reserve. And here from the front tee, we're going to over adjust 10%. Very important still, and we're going to have to go, not have to, but we are going to go straight at the pin with our adjustment here, our target. We are, in this case, going to play with whatever ball you feel like. You really don't need side spin, you don't need anything except for, you know, a club that gives you the distance. I would say the only thing that I would kind of go in and make sure that I would have is to have a club with more distance than the backbone. Because if we do have a headwind and we're playing with a power 0 ball, we're gonna be in between clubs if we are using a Saturn or a backbone here on hole number 5. So I would like to play with the Goliath, giving myself the distance. No top, no backspin, no side spin, aim directly at the pin, 10% over adjustment, and then you're going to be close. Other than that, play with whatever ball you might want. Save the special balls, save everything, and play with a Marlin or with a basic ball, which is balls that you can spare, because you will of course have a limited amount of basic balls and also get a lot of Marlin balls in free shots. We're coming in very nicely, and it rolls and takes the left turn. Unfortunately, there we miss. Hole number 6, here we're going to take a more aggressive route compared to what you can do from second and 30. And it's because we do not really have the top spin to bounce over the rough and the sand on the right side. And you maybe wonder here already, why complicate it, Tommy? Why not play on the left side and get over nice and easy over the rough by just bouncing over? The problem is, if you take a look at the top right, And we're gonna come, actually we can come to that when it's our opponent's turn, because our opponent's gonna play that way. I'm going max overpower. I'm using 2 to 4 bars top spin, depending on what you want to do. We have a lot of fairway to play on, and there is a lot of room left until we get to the bunker. And the only thing to be cautious about is if you have a straight tailwind, not maybe full blast overpower, just remove a little bit, then you're gonna be fine. We do want to go over to the right side, and we do want to stay on the right side. As you can see, we do have an open shot there towards the pin. The problem for our opponent here, once bouncing over to the left side, is not really the drive, because the drive is a very easy one and something that you definitely can play, but you do not have an open shot towards the pin, and that's something that we always need to look at. If you do not have an open shot towards the pin, you cannot in the end be getting an eagle, or in this case an albatross, from distance. I'm not saying it's going to be easy from my position as either, but from here it's going to be either that you have to bounce over the rough and the sand with a lot of topspin, which will make your ball come in way too hot, or go with a club with a lot of backspin and bounce just over the rough, and that's going to still also be very, very tough. No elevation adjustment for the second shot, so we cannot add or subtract anything, so we're just going to play the shot as it is. A par 5 in the end, where I would say we're gonna maybe see some albatrosses here if the wind is in our favor, but other than that, I think this is going to be just a general eagle hole as for the other 2 par 5s, which in the end is going to be very tough. So we come in here, and as you can see here, the only thing that I would like you to say is like, look at the slight downhill slope on the end of the green here that rolls ourselves down. Something to think of when playing, so you're not coming in way too hot, because that's going to be difficult then to get the ball to stop. Hole number 7, the last par 3 here, and we're going to over adjust 10%. Very important for this par 3. You can see already here that the tee box is higher up than at the point where we want the ball to land. And it's going to bounce over the rough and the sand. We're going to take the same route as our opponent, but I think here that now we do need to play with a ball that gives us a decent amount of side spin. I'm not saying that you do need to have side spin 3, but maybe a side spin 2 would be valuable, so we can take ourselves away from the rough line to the right and still have a decent opportunity towards the pin. Max side spin without mauling, which is 2.5 bar, 1.5 bar backspin. I'm aiming straight at the pin, then it's maximum distance with a 10% over adjustment. And this shot is going to get close, and the thing that I'm most happy with is to actually get the speed in. The direction we can compensate for later, but the most important part is that we're getting the speed correct, that we're not going too short and we're not going too long. Tough par 3, the toughest of them all that we do have of the Acacia Reserve. So play carefully, get it over to the green, take your birdie, and be happy with that. Hole number 8, I'm going to show you a more an aggressive approach, and we're going to play over to the right. The drive here is going to be downhill. You can see once again from the tee box here, we're playing it downhill, so we do need to add 10% to our adjustment. Max topspin, which is 4.5 bars, and when we add that, we also add as much side spin to the right possible. This to help our ball to bounce over here to the fairway, to give ourselves a nice short iron opportunity towards the pin. The drive also need curl. We do need to use, I would say, as much curl that you possibly can, but that is a little bit wrong, because that would be too much with an apocalypse. It would be too much with a quarterback. So I would say an extra mile here, level 5 has a perfect amount, because it's around half a ball of curl outside the adjustment range to the right. And last but not least, with the drive, 10% extra, very important to have. The problem you get playing the route that our opponent took is that you could, in that case, put yourself up in a spot where you will have to rely on a lot of backspin on your club, as you do not have much green or even fairway to play on. Now we do have a more open shot. We do have also a shorter club, which is going to be easier to compress the ball guideline and give ourselves a good opportunity from distance. 10% is needed to over adjust here as well for the second shot, very important, and I do consider this one to be a very good opportunity here from distance. Great shot as well. Boo! Gonna miss to the left. Hole number 9. Whew. Power 3 ball. And we play with a driver that gives us the most distance. 4.5 bar topspin, 4.5 bar side spin to the right. We're going to use the red ring kind of close to the rough line to the right with the extra mile. That's going to be slightly different depending on the club that you're having. And then we're going to adjust for maximum distance with a 10% over adjustment. Not more than 10, very important. It's just slightly downhill, not much, but we're still going to add the 10% to be able to be spot on. So we take our shot, and the plan here is to get the ball to roll as far down the fairway as possible and keep ourselves as close to the rough line on the left side. That will give us a way of bouncing towards the pin in a nice way. You maybe wonder once again, why do I take the right side and not the left side? The reason being is the right side is built, it's kind of feels like it's built in the way to be taken, because coming from the left side, even if you get your ball to the fairway, you do not really have a fairway to bounce your ball over the rough and the sand on. You will have to get the ball directly onto the green, and that's going to be almost impossible with the clubs you're using in rookie, but also other divisions. And you can see he has the bunker in line, I have an open fairway, so therefore we're going to choose the right side all the time. As it was 10% downhill for the drive, it's not going to be 10% downhill for the second shot. It's going to be played as nothing, so we don't need to add anything for the approach. We don't need to subtract anything either. 1 to 1.5 bar backspin, and we're going to bounce at this uphill slope here, and get the ball to bounce over the rough and then up towards the pin. Tough approach, which is not going to give that many albatrosses, but it's at least a better chance than we would be getting if we would be playing on the left side. Bounce very nicely, gets over here, and we're getting kind of close. So this was the playthrough for Rookie Division in the Summer Major Tournament. This is a full 9 of the Acacia Reserve. All of those holes are new, and you can find them playing from the front tee on tour number 4. If you're playing from another tee as well, you maybe have more accounts, like different accounts, then you can find it from second tee on tour number 9 and third tee for tour 11. All content for the Summer Major and the Acacia Reserves will be found on golf-tommy.com. And if you do want to get the text guides or the updated text guide for the Summer Major, sign up on Patreon, link in the video description down below. Video here is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Good luck in the Summer Major.